All right, thanks for joining me for this video. I'm not sure why I'm wearing a flannel shirt because this is not a flannel shirt kind of weekend in the San Francisco Bay Area. Temperatures are going to be very, very hot. That's my weatherman forecast for Sunday, Week 5, 49ers against the Arizona Cardinals. Temps are expected in the mid to high 90s, so it's going to be a tough one for the fans, especially those on the east side of Levi Stadium, for the Arizona Cardinals looking into that sun from their sideline, and of course, the 49ers. Um, Today, we're going to talk about Five to Watch, which I posted at NBC Sports Bay Area.com. Also, offer my prediction at the end of this. And also want to talk about the NFL's media access policy as it relates to the locker room because I know there's been a lot of talk out there about that. But the first thing is, as far as the uniforms go, yes, Kyle Shanahan, as I noted on the last video, wanted the 49ers to change from red tops to white tops for this game, and the NFL would not allow that because if you recall, if you follow the 49ers on social media, back on July 18th, they disclosed which uniforms they were wearing for each game this season. So that has to be done long in advance. And the 49ers did get permission from the league to switch from their traditional home uniforms, the red tops, gold pants, to what they call their red classics, the throwback jerseys, the throwback uniforms that they wore during that 1994 Super Bowl season under very superstitious head coach George Seifert. So the 49ers had already designated their red classics to be worn against Dallas coming up here in a couple of weeks, and then Detroit, the last home game of the season, that Monday night game. They are also going to be able to wear them this game on Sunday against the Cardinals. That's the white pants. So is that going to make much of a difference? Probably not, but just any stitch of white clothing they can wear, they want to wear for this. As far as the all white uniforms, they wear those once this season. That's coming up Thursday night, October 10th, Thursday night football in Seattle. So as I mentioned on the last video, Kyle Shanahan did note that with early season games having that possibility of being very hot, perhaps in the future, the 49ers will designate their home uniform as the all whites or at least the white tops through perhaps mid-October. So that kind of breaks from tradition of what the 49ers have always done, wearing the red uniforms at home. So that's something to keep an eye on in the future. Yeah, there has been a lot of talk around the NFL about the media access policy. And so, just to clarify things, the Players Union put out a statement that they've tried to work with the NFL and the pro football writers to be able to move interviews outside the locker room. And they quote, they talk about it as in invading privacy and just want to make sure that their players are not uncomfortable doing these interviews. Well, the NFL, the Pro Football Writers, which I am the chapter president of the San Francisco Pro Football Writers of America, Matt Barrows is the vice president. The Pro Football Writers pointed out correctly that players have always had the option to conduct interviews outside the locker room. So it's merely like if anybody wanted to do that, they've always been able to say, for instance, if I go to player A and I'd say, hey, I'd like to talk to you about the upcoming opponent or how your season's going or whatever, that player has always had the right to say, hey, absolutely, let's step outside the locker room and I'd be happy to chat with you. That's always been the case. And I did talk to 49ers player rep Curtis Robinson, who, by the way, is out for the season with the knee injury. He hasn't had the surgery yet for the torn ACL, but just a classy stand-up guy, went to Stanford. We had a really nice talk about this on Friday, and he just reiterated what I just said. It's basically he wants the players inside the 49ers locker room to know that if they ever feel uncomfortable doing an interview inside the locker room, they can always take it outside. And this doesn't mean that the media can no longer go into the locker room. That's always been the case. And so that will continue to be the case. And, this whole idea, and I've seen stuff on social media, well, I don't know why media is talking to, naked men in the locker room. I can assure you, I've been covering the NFL for 30 years. I can't tell you the last time I saw a player naked in the locker room, and I've never interviewed a guy who doesn't have his pants on or anything else. Okay, so that's a little behind the scenes look. And I will say this: by and large, it is I take a lot of pride in having very professional relationships with the players, and this 49ers team also very, by and large, very professional in dealing with the media, and by and large, the media very professional in dealing with the players. So, as I see it, um, this really doesn't have an impact on any coverage. There should be no impact whatsoever in the coverage of the team from your standpoint as a viewer, a reader, a listener, whatever. So, it's a veteran locker room. A lot of guys are, I mean, they're all adults, as Curtis Robinson told me, and everybody on the team can make their own decision of where they feel most comfortable conducting interviews. Okay, so there's that. Um, at NBC Sports Bay Area, I did my 5 49ers to watch for this upcoming game against the Cardinals. And so we'll start off. Number 5 to me is Colton McKivitz. And Colton is probably the lightning rod for fans who have just this built-in critique of the 49ers offensive line. The offensive line has, I think, played pretty well through 4 games. If they weren't playing well, I don't think the 49ers would enter week 5 with the quarterback who's thrown for the most passing yards, and they probably wouldn't enter week 5 with the running back who is second in the league in rushing. So Colton McKivitz has had a good season thus far. He had the rough game against the Los Angeles Rams where he gave up a strip sack. That's the only sack that he's allowed through 4 games. But I put him up there because he'll be going up against Dennis Gardeck, who is the Cardinals' best outside pass rusher. Lines up both spots, lines up a left outside linebacker, right outside linebacker. My guess is that Gardeck will not line up as much against Trent Williams because if you're a good pass rusher and you can kind of choose where you line up, you're probably not going to be lining up against him. So key for McKivitz is to be able to handle him one-on-one, not have to devote the 49ers not have to devote a tight end on that side or a back to chip or anything like that. So McKivitz has started off his second season as a full-time 49er starter in much better fashion than he did a year ago. I think that 3-sack game against TJ Watt with the Steelers in week 1 of 2023 just kind of clouds everybody's vision of what McKivitz is. And, again, you can take this with a grain of salt, but Pro Football Focus has him ranked as the number 16, grading run blocking, pass blocking combined. They have him ranked as the number 16 offensive tackle in the game, grades through 4 games. And so that's left tackle, that's right tackle combined. So Trent Williams is number 4. Colton McKivitz is number 16. So McKivitz having a good season and seems to be just kind of getting better and better over time, obviously with some ups and downs along the way, but certainly trending in a positive direction. So Colton McKivitz, number 5. Number 4 is Jair Brown. As you think about the other safety spot with the 49ers, a lot of players in and out. George Odom started the first 2 games. Talanoa Hufanga played the 3rd game, and then Malik Mustafa played the 4th game. So at a spot at safety where there has been a lot of comings and goings, not much continuity, Jair Brown is very important because of his ability to play the run, which he'll have to do coming up in the box on occasion against James Conner, but also playing the pass in helping out on the back end, while also keep an eye on Kyler Murray when he breaks out and runs. So Jair Brown, an opportunity to make some sort of game-changing plays in this game. Number three is Brandon Ayuk. And, going up against the Arizona Cardinals, um, the production hasn't been there. Think about this. Last year, when he had 1,342 yards receiving and seven touchdowns, out of those 17 games, he only had four games where he had receiving yards of less than 50 yards. Four games, the entire season, less than 50 yards receiving. Through four games this season, all four games less than 50 yards. So he's already had the same number of those kind of low output, low production games than he had all of last year. It's about time for him to get this thing rolling. Deebo Samuel started off with two good games. The last two games, Juwan Jennings has had some big time games. So now it's Brandon Ayuk's turn. And what everybody is saying behind the scenes is that Brandon Ayuk is right there. He's ready to break out. So we shall see if he does that on Sunday against the Cardinals. Number two, Brock Purdy. One of the interesting things about this, and this will be the 26th career start for Brock Purdy. I'm just, it's too bad that Tom Brady isn't able to go to the 49ers facility and talk to Brock Purdy because of Tom Brady's potential ownership share with the Raiders. He cannot go to the team's practice facilities and conduct production meetings with coaches and players. He can't watch them practice. That's too bad, because I would love to have heard what Tom Brady's thoughts were on Brock Purdy after meeting him. Tom Brady was the number, was he 199, sixth round pick, number 199 overall in the 2000 draft. It'd be interesting to hear what he has to say about Brock Purdy and his observations of his game. Of course, I won't be watching it live. You'll be able to watch it if you're not going to the game. But I would like to go back later and kind of listen to what Tom Brady has to say about Brock Purdy. It's always been my thought is that those who know the most about football, those who know the most about playing the position of quarterback, are the ones who are most impressed by Brock Purdy. And so, Tom Brady, I'm sure, heard the same criticisms. Oh, he can't be that great. He was a sixth round draft pick, all of that. So really curious to hear what Tom Brady has to say about Brock Purdy. And I don't know if he'll get into the whole system quarterback thing. There's like two ways you can, what's the old saying? Like, tell me you don't know anything about football without telling me you don't know anything about football. One would be anybody who's criticizing Brock Purdy. The other part would be that he's only a system quarterback. Yes, Brock Purdy runs the Kyle Shanahan system very, very well, but also he might be one of the better players in the league as far as making plays off schedule, improvising. I mean, you see it all the time with him running around now, directing traffic and making the throw to the open receiver. So number two, Brock Purdy. And then number one is Diamador Lenore. If you heard the Frere Talk podcast, I told Greg Papa, I think after Warner and Bosa, Diamador Lenore is the third best player on the 49ers defense. Obviously, that's debatable. You can drop your opinion, who's the third best player on the 49ers defense, in the comments below. But through four games, he's allowed 13 receptions on 21 attempts for only 108 yards. And this is a guy that plays outside in base situations, moves inside to cover the slot receiver from nickelback. I think Diamador Lenore is having a great season. The only thing it's lacking is the turnovers. So we'll see if those come. If those come, then you're looking at a potential Pro Bowl season for Diamador Lenore. And so Marvin Harrison, Greg Dortch is by and large the Cardinals slot receiver, but also Marvin Harrison Jr. will line up inside on occasion. Marvin Harrison, number 4 overall pick. He's been Kyler Murray's favorite target so far. Only 15 receptions through 4 games, but for 243 yards and 4 touchdowns. So keep an eye on Diamador Lenore. Could be a real big challenge for him going up against Marvin Harrison Jr. So that's it. Those are the 5 to watch. And then my prediction. You want to know my prediction? I'm always asked, like, who do you think will win? So maybe on YouTube here on these videos, I'll start sharing what I think is going to happen in the game and take a bold stand. I think the 49ers have the offense. They seem to be kind of rolling into form. They need to capitalize on red zone possessions a little bit more. Defensively, we'll see how they piece things together. I do expect Fred Warner to play. Offensively, I do expect George Kittle to play as well. I think the 49ers just have too much talent for the Arizona Cardinals. And my prediction, 49ers 31, Cardinals 13. 31-13 on a hot day at Levi's Stadium. That's it for now. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back shortly with another video. In the meantime, please subscribe. Let's see how fast we can get to 7,000 followers. And like, comment, all that stuff. It really helps. And I try to answer as many comments as possible. So, again, thank you so much, and we'll see you back here shortly.